Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be discussing an important topic that is the flexible operation. Uh, the topic itself is important because many regulations have been come on that many papers have been printed regarding how to do the fluctuation so that a mix of renewable and the thermal generation can prevail and the transition from thermal to solar and solar to thermal can be done smoothly. So in this regard, when it has been discussed that the many renewable plants are about to come, and in order to avoid the renewable curtailment, the power plants have to go to a new technical minimum, which may be 40% or 30%. So presently, the technical minimum, as per the recent grid code, has been kept at 55% only, and it has been also written that the plants who want to reduce their technical minimum can write to the state electricity boards that their technical minimum can be reduced. But since there is no any particular guideline regarding how much the compensation would be paid if a plant reduces its technical minimum, so in this respect, the CA has just notified certain regulations. These regulations are presently in a draft condition. The basic aim of these regulations is to have a compensation guidelines for 40% technical minimum, and the compensation will be on the heat rate, specific oil, APC, as well as in order to promote the plants to go to the 40% technical minimum. What are the increase in the investment and the on cost that will occur because of this uh, new uh, because of this new process or the new technique medium which the plants will follow. So the CRC and the CAA has proposed certain regulations. So today in this video we will be discussing about these regulations only and what is the basically compensation mechanism. So let's get started. So in the proposed regulation, the compensation for operation at technical minimum of 40% is considered on four grounds. The first ground is the investment in infrastructure which is required to able to sustain or at 40% load. The second is the increase in the O&M cost because when the unit has to run at 40% and it has to go at 100%, there would be amount of cycling losses which will prevail, the wall passings and the other things may happen. So there would be an increase in the repair and maintenance cost. So that has been considered in the O&M cost. The next is the increase in the variable charges due to decrease of efficiency. That this has been considered on two grounds. One is on the heat rate, other is on the APC part. Next is the increase in the oil consumption due to increased equipment force outage rate because many a times during the cycling equipment may go out and the unit has to take the oil, so its oil consumption may increase beyond the specific norms of zero point 0.5. So these all things have been taken care in these regulations. The increase in investment in infrastructure is considered on the basis of unit commissioning date. For units which have been commissioned before 2004, the investment of rupees 30 crore has been considered for the unit in order to do the necessary modifications to run and stabilize at 40% load. For units which have been commissioned after 2004, the investment approval of rupees 10 crore has been considered. In the next criteria, the classification has been based on the subcritical or the supercritical units. For units which have been commissioned before 2011, oh sorry, the subcritical units which have been considered after 2011 or on the date of 2011. In that case, here I'm talking about 1st January. Yeah. The units which have been commissioned after 1st January 2011 or on the date of 1st January 2011, if they are subcritical in nature, then the capital cost of rupees 6 crore has been considered as the requirement of investment for the units to run at 40% technical minimum. Uh, no provision of capital cost has been incorporated for supercritical units whose letter of approval date is after 1st January 2011. This has been done as in 2009 the CA has introduced a guideline in its technical standards regarding that the now onward the all the supercritical units have to run at 40% load, and that their technical minimum should be 40% load. So the unit should be able to perform the load when the unit should be able to perform the operation at 40% load. So the units have been designed in such a condition. Therefore, no investment in infrastructure has been considered for supercritical units after whose letter approval date is after 1st January 2011. And in case after the getting the investment and doing the necessary modification, if the power plant may not be able to uh, exhibit this 40% technical minimum load at 85% of the time when asked for, then they would be penalized. And the penalization guidelines has not been given right now, but the it has been also said that if the modifications have been done, then the power plant operator should also show that the necessary response also. The next cost which has been considered is the increase in the compensation in the O&M cost. The O&M cost, the divisions would be is based on the size of the unit, and this would be valid for irrespective of when the unit has been commissioned, because the cycling will occur in all the units irrespective whether that unit has been commissioned before 2004 or after 2004 or whatever the year is. Because so in terms of increase in the O&M cost, if the unit loading is between 45% to 40%, the maximum compensation allowed is rupees 14.62 crores for 200 megawatt. For 500 megawatt, this compensation is almost 24.97 crores. For 660 megawatt, the compensation is 29.66 crore. And for 800 megawatt, the maximum compensation allowed is 32.35 crore. If the unit uh, uh, exhibits the loading of 45%, less than 45% to 40%. So in comparison to the present guidelines, there is an increase of 20% in all the units O&M cost, and that's the maximum allowed compensation. If the units show just 50%, then the compensation increase in the O&M cost would be just 9%. So for 200 megawatt, it's 6.58 crores. For 500 megawatt, it's just 11.23 crores. For 660, it would be the 13.34 crores, and for 800 megawatt, it would be just 14.55 crores. So based on the loading guidelines, the increase in the O&M infrastructure, increase in the O&M cost is also considered. So coming to the next ground on which the compensation would be paid to a thermal power plant for showing technical minimum or showing the loading percentage of 45 to 40%, that is on the account of heat rate. Even in earlier regulations also there is compensation allowed on net heat rate, and but that compensation is of only just 3%. But in the new guidelines it has been decided that if the thermal power plant shows the loading between 50 to 55%, the net heat rate increase of 10% would be considered for 200 megawatt, and for 500 megawatt it would be 10.9 percentage, and for 660 and 800 megawatt it would be 8.6 percentage and 8.7 percentage respectively. And the maximum compensation would be on the net heat rate would be 16% for showing the loading between 45 to 40% for both subcritical units of 200 megawatt and 500 megawatt. If we talk for supercritical unit, that is for 660 and 800 megawatt, then maximum compensation on showing the loading between 40 to 45% would be 14.6 percentage and 15% respectively. So now we will talk about the last compensation on which the CA has talked about, that is on the oil consumption. The final compensation which this CA has talked about is on account of oil consumption. Presently, the norms are 0.5 ml per kilowatt hour for a thermal power plant, and it has been proposed that this during regular low load operation, the specific oil consumption may increase, and it may go up to 0.7 ml per kilowatt hour. So they are planning to increase the limit also. Also, there is a proposal to compensate for one at a rate of 1 paisa per kilowatt hour on account of equipment forge outage rate. So these are the four compensation which have been proposed by the CA for thermal power plant in order to bring the technetium to 40% or to run continuously at 40% loading as and when required. So I think you have understood the crux of the presentations, and I hope you like the video. And if you like the video, please subscribe to my channel and please press the like button. Thank you and have a good night.